Good evening. Good evening, County Supervisors, staff, and guests. Would you please sign in? Mine isn't loaded, so I can't sign in.
I don't know. No, they don't know. They don't know the program.
Well, anyhow, I'm signed in.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all wrong tonight. Was everybody else able to sign in?
Some could, some can't.
Okay,
That's right.
That's okay, we got it.
we got it. So,
No,
No, we'll just go ahead.
okay, we're all set. Okay. All right. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
it's all voice.
You ready now? Okay. I need a motion to approve the agenda. Please raise your hand. Mike and Mary. All in favor of that motion indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. We have approval of the November 4th minutes. I have a motion. Motion by Patrick and a second by Supervisor Elliott. Any questions or corrections on the minutes? Okay, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Are there any communications?
I have no communications.
Public participation? Anybody signed up over there? Don't see anybody. Okay. All right, we have special business this evening. We're going to hear Jana Hintz and Carlia Lieberman and Hannah Phillips on the UW extension. Ladies?
We'll just, okay. So what I'm seeing here, or what are you seeing out there? Okay, that's not. Oh, perfect. Well, there we go. Hi, my name is Jana Hintz. I'm the Area Extension Director for Calumet, Manitowoc, and Sheboygan counties. And I want to thank all of you for providing this opportunity for us to share an update and a little bit, kind of an overview of Extension and the work that we're doing here in Calumet County. So Extension is the Wisconsin idea in action. So it's extending the university to the boundaries of the state. The purpose, vision, and values of the University of Wisconsin Madison Division of Extension are built upon our meaningful and transformational engagement with all communities across the state. So Extension has 6 institutes that work in 6 different areas of programming. So there's agriculture, community development, positive youth development, health and well-being, natural resources, human development, and relationships. Those are the 6. And each of the 6 institute has a director and program managers that provide professional programming, research, support, and they all work with our educators, which means Extension educators do not work alone. They have the support, the research, the resources in the network to be effective in the communities where they work. So when the county contracts to have an educator, they also gain support, research, and resources from UW-Madison specialists, Division of Extension specialists, and institute directors and program managers. So a recent example of this is Carlia Lieberman, our 4-H educator, was working on the science of the chocolate chip cookie curriculum, and she worked with a UW-Madison food scientist to help develop that curriculum. So that curriculum will not only be shared in Calumet County, it's going to be shared statewide. So that's just an example. Last year, Curly, similarly, I don't know, did you hear about the Cooking with Meat program? That was also one that Curly helped develop, and she worked with UW-Madison specialists to bring that curriculum not only into Calumet County, but it ended up being shared across the state with over 600 some participants. So a couple success stories there. Okay, so staff at UW-Madison, they're employees that are invested in the community they serve. They deliver education to people where they live and work on farms and schools and in the community centers and other locations that are convenient for people. So extension educators also engage with civic groups, county boards, write newspaper columns, participate in radio and TV programs. They facilitate meetings and build coalitions to solve complex, high-priority community needs. Extension educators bring research, knowledge, and resources to our community. So how does Extension come to life in Calumet County? Extension has a unique relationship with the county, and it may not look the same in other counties or in other departments, but we are a department within Calumet County. So as you can see from the organizational chart, in Calumet, we have 2 of the 6 extension areas, 2 of the institutes, and we will look more closely at that type of programming offered from each of these institutes, and the educators will share more of that in the next few slides. But, oops. So we, as a director, or as an area extension director, I report to not only UW-Madison, I report to the county administrator, and we have our liaison committee. So our extension education committee, we report to them, and I provide an impact report, and the educators also provide a monthly report to our liaison committee. So the impact report was shared with everybody in advance. So you'll see in there things that the educators have done here in the county, services that they brought to the community. You also will see in there, in the back part, it is the value added section. So the value added section is other parts of the extension, division of extension, where that programming, someone from Calumet County participated in it or people benefited from it. So you'll see at the back of that, programs that also were not delivered from any of the educators here, but they impacted people in this county. Also, 4-H is housed here, but you'll find that our FoodWise educator and coordinator is not housed here, but they do serve and work here in Calumet County. So that's why they're here today, to share with you some of the work that's being done. So this graph depicts an overview of how extension educators approach their work. Educators reach out to connect and meet with community partners to assess needs or gaps in the community. So determining common themes and then prioritizing their plan of work. It's really based on the needs that they hear from the community. So educators work on the local needs and trends with local partners. Through their state network, the local needs and trends are often determined to be statewide or regional trends. Teams of extension educators, program managers, state specialists, and institute directors will work together to address the complex, larger issues, making program development more efficient and timelier. So extension educators are driven by using research and findings or developing resources for the communities they serve. So it's really very team-oriented, the work that we do. So I want you to hear from our educators some of the work that they're doing, and we'll start with Hannah and FoodWise.
Hi everyone, I'm Hannah. I'm our FoodWise Healthy Communities Coordinator. So Jana mentioned that FoodWise is not housed in Calumet County. The FoodWise program is actually funded by a federal grant through USDA. So our local FoodWise team serves 4 counties. We're in Calumet, Outagamie, Wapaka, and Winnebago counties. And so you saw on that slide, our local team is 2 coordinators and 3 educators. So I'll share today about the work that we did in Calumet County this past year. So this year, it's December. I'm like, is it still 2024? Yes, it is. So this year, Foodwise provided a grant to the Brilliant Public Library to establish a food garden there, which consisted of 4 beds and then 2 smaller planters. And we also worked with the library to establish a food pantry inside the library. So you can see there, it's just kind of a smaller refrigerator and some shelving. So we helped to find a donor to purchase the larger equipment, and we provided some funding for some of the smaller supplies and just kind of supported them in providing some resources for stocking a safe and healthy pantry and getting that up and running. And that food pantry has been really well received by the community. They've been receiving donations from the community. The food that was grown in the garden was donated to that food pantry, and then it is also just stocked by donations from community members, and the pantry has seen continued use from the community. It's been a really exciting, in my opinion, great resource for the community. And we also worked kind of on the same note as that programming to do a program at the garden in partnership with the library and with 4-H. We provided an educational series over the summer, which featured 6 events that were centered around gardening and the parts of the plant that we eat. So, for example, one week was focused on leaves that we eat. The book, The Tale of Kale, was read, and then the children got to make their own take-home bag of kale chips to take home and bake. So we had some activities like that. All right. And then we also continued our partnership with WIC. So I know we presented on this last year, so some of you might have been here and heard about this. Did some similar programming to continue working toward increasing the redemption rates of WIC at the farmers market. So each qualifying family member in WIC, which would be pregnant and nursing moms and then babies 9 months and older, were eligible to receive $40 of shopping vouchers that were good at any farmers market in the state that accepted those WIC farmers market nutrition program vouchers. So we collaborated with the markets and vendors in Calumet County to host events similar to last year that help families shop and familiarize themselves with how to use those benefits and where to access the fresh fruits and vegetables using those benefits. So in 2022, the redemption rate was 35%, and then last year it was 43%, and this year it was 46%, and the number of checks that were distributed actually also increased because we were able to kind of increase people's interest in those benefits in general. So I'd like to share with you a promotional video that we made as well, and also share that there are 518 families that are on WIC in Calumet County, and 17% of those families speak Spanish primarily. So we prioritize getting our resources available in Spanish to make those events more accessible for those families, and we had Spanish-speaking interpreters available at each of those events to help the families shop and access resources. Ooh. Okay. Oh, it's not on the screen. Okay. I feel like we're on 2 different screens, so maybe we can just move along. Okay. We'll go back to the presentation. All right. That was all of my...
Hello, everyone. My name is Carlia Learman. I am the 4-H educator for here in Calumet County, and I've been in my role for just over 5 years. One thing that you see on the screen is a current logic model that I'm starting to put into practice. We just had a meeting with our Positive Youth Development Institute this last month in Madison, where our institute director just presented that there are 3 different priorities that they are asking us as educators to focus on. There's youth empowerment, college and career readiness, and I'm blinking on the third one, I'm sorry. And Experiential learning, yes. So this is very new. Experiential learning is the third one. And I am choosing to focus on youth empowerment for a couple of reasons. The two biggest reasons is one, we did not locate an AmeriCorps member to take over the role of Maggie Bruckner, who many of you did get to know over the last year. She was the one who launched and coordinated the youth and governance program that we started and we still have going on. And so one of my focuses over this next year is actually going to be continuing the work that she is doing with the Youth and Governance Program. And then I also oversee our traditional community clubs here in Calumet County. We currently have 12 community clubs and 3 groups in Calumet County. We currently have 313 youth currently enrolled, though we are still in the re-enrollment process. We had 343 members last year throughout the county, and I'll kind of go over that as well with you. But those are two of the biggest things of why I'm going into youth empowerment. I also help coordinate the Student Government Day that we have every spring annually. And so looking at those programs, I thought youth empowerment made the most sense for me to really focus my time on. And so I primarily work with youth that are 5-year-old kindergarten all the way up to youth the year after they graduate high school. So even if kids are their first year in college, they are still eligible to participate in our 4-H program. And then I do partner with organizations as well. So REACH is one that's right here in Calumet County that I work with as well. And then I work with our adult volunteers, and we have about 50 to 60 volunteers that help with the 4-H program as well. And so you can see on the screen, there are both short-term, mid-term, and long-term goals that we work on throughout the different programs that we do here. So besides the traditional community clubs that we have here in Calumet County that youth are participating in their monthly club meetings, we also have our Pinewood Derby contest that we have every year. We do food workshops that are almost monthly. Todd has actually helped with those in the past, and he's talked about doing them in the future. We do our Festival of Fun, which is our hands-on project day. And we have Clover Bud Club and Lego Robotics. There's lots of hands-on projects that we do as well. And so those are just some of the county programs that we do here. This is our data from last year's enrollment. As I mentioned, we had 343 youth, so our enrollment was actually up. And some things that we track on a yearly basis is our first-year members and our first-generation members. And the reason we look at our first-year members, and specifically our first-generation members, if someone is not familiar with 4-H, 4-H is a lot to learn. Not only is there a lot of lingo to learn, it's how to get enrolled and what to get involved in. It could be as much as how do I decide which club to get involved in? And so a lot of that, finding out if they're a first generation member or even a first year member, it's my role as a 4-H educator to reach out to those members and those families to make sure that they're having a positive quality experience, because we want to make sure that they're getting the most out of the 4-H experience. Because like I said, they can start as young as 5-year-old kindergarten all the way to the year after they graduate high school. And we do have members that stay in it 10 to 12 years. And so we want to make sure that they're getting their most out of their experience. And so you can see that the first year members and first generation members did go down a little bit, but that shows that we are retaining our members. And so it's really nice to see that our numbers are staying the same or going up. And then in your handout packet, there would be a Calumet County membership tracking guide that you guys can look at if you want. It just goes over some of the data that we had from, I believe it's 2022 to 23, and it goes over everything for our 4-H program, so you can fully look at that. And then lastly, I wanted to go over some of our projects. 4-H is known mostly as the kids that show the animals at the fair. And I want to let you know that we are so much more than showing dairy cows or pigs at the fair. If there's a hobby or something that kids like to do, there's guaranteed to be a 4-H projects that the kids are going to enjoy. Our top project actually in Calumet County, as you can see on the screen, is art. And our second project is foods and nutrition. I know Todd and Alice has both come to our food auction that we have every year at the fair. We have 80 to 100 kids that actually participate in our food auction every year at the Calumet County Fair. So if they are showing a pie, cheesecake, cupcakes, or cakes that they decorated, they actually can sell in our food auction. So that's one reason why we also have monthly food workshops as well, because that is one of our highest project areas. Along with some of the animals, but also archery, woodworking, and STEM are some of our highest project areas as well. So I really like to reiterate that we are more than just the farm kids. We do have kids right here in the town of Chilton as well, and other cities within Calumet County, even parts of like Menasha, Darbo area, parts of the county, we have kids involved in 4-H. So it is, again, more than just the farm kids. And so I like to reiterate that to you. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. My office is right here in the basement. I'm always willing to talk to you more about the 4-H program. So thank you. And I'll. I mentioned our food auction. Our food auction is a fundraiser for our Leaders Council. So our Leaders Council is the fiscal agent for our 4-H program here in Calumet County. And this year we raised just under $40,000 just from selling cheesecakes, pies, cakes and cupcakes. Yes, just under $40,000, which is great. And as Alice mentioned, about $1,100 might be what the item went for. The kids literally have to get up on stage themselves. They introduce themselves, so a little experience with public speaking. They tell about what they made, and then they literally have to walk around a full tent of family, friends, and individuals from the community auctioning off their items. And so it's a great fundraiser, but it's also a great way for our members to build the life skills. Because like I mentioned, they're actually having to public speak. Some of those kids probably hate public speaking. I know when I was in 4-H, I hated getting up in front of groups. I would have never imagined I was even talking to a board if I was still a 4-H member. So those are just some of the skills that they get through baking cakes, cookies, and all the different things that they get to do in 4-H. So, yeah. And I can let you guys know when we have our annual auction if you're interested in just coming to see. It's a really fun event and getting to see the kids celebrate in their project learning. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions of the ladies? Okay. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Good job. All right, resolutions.
Resolution 2024-25, resolution authorizing a surface water grant application for Calumet County, introduced by the Land and Water Conservation Committee.
A motion by Matthew, supervisor. Who's the other one? Huh? All right. Supervisor Miller. And Supervisor Huffsberger, would you speak to this resolution, please?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. This is a $50,000 DNR grant application which aims to restore and stabilize 920 feet of a tributary to Lake Winnebago in the town of Brothertown. It's just north of Artesia Beach Road, west of Lakeshore Drive, just north of the Fond du Lac County border. Restoration activities will include practices such as rock riprap at curves in the creek that receive the highest stress loading during runoff events. Straight portions of the creek will be graded to reduce vulnerability to shear stress, and beneficial native vegetation will be reintroduced. In addition, the project proposes to create a flood storage bench that will allow for short-term storage from large runoff events.
Are there any questions regarding this resolution? Seeing none, please. All in favor indicate by raising your hand. Opposed? All right, motion carried. The resolution has been adopted. Moving on to Resolution 2024-26.
Resolution authorizing grant application for the Stockbridge Boat Harbor sidewalk replacement and harbor wall repair, introduced by the Parks Commission.
Motion by Supervisor Elliott and a second by Supervisor Steer. And Supervisor Schwalmberg, would you speak to this resolution, please?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do believe we talked about the sidewalk problem before, maybe not, but it involves more now than the sidewalk. The water coming down the hill is making the wall bulge out, so that's to repair that too. So, thank you.
Okay. Are there any questions regarding this resolution? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? Resolution has been adopted. Moving on to Resolution 2024-27.
Resolution amending the 2024 budget for the Appleton office remodeling project, introduced by the Administrative Services Committee.
Motion. Motion by Supervisor Schwallenberg, second by Supervisor Hufsberger, and Supervisor Diedrich, would you speak to this resolution?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This resolution comes before us because with the intent to remodel and update the Appleton office, primarily the parking lot and the facade, the outside facade of the building. The bids came in significantly more than the architect had and made us in his estimates, basically. And the finance director and the administrator have put together a plan that we can still go forward with the project, and this resolution allows us to do that by amending the budget and applying the underspent and unobligated American Rescue Plan dollars, and also some unassigned sales tax dollars to cover the discrepancy between what we had budgeted and what the actual estimates now come in. The total is, what, $506,000, David, I think, something like that. So we have the funds, as I said, in the American Rescue Plan and in sales tax. This is a way to get the project done and not impact the financing it's taken from those two sources, sales tax and American Rescue Fund. And if you have any particular questions on the why and wherefore, David and Todd would be more than happy to explain, I'm sure.
Are there any questions regarding this resolution and the remodel of the Appleton office? Supervisor?
So I guess my question is, and I'm on the administrative committee, right? So, and we got this thrown in front of us. We looked at it for like 10 minutes. We had a good discussion around it. And I had time to think about it. And it's my muddy the waters a little bit. And it probably layered on me a little bit more. I had not one but two constituents call me after the tax bills went out last week saying, what's going on with Calumet County? Why did the tax go up so much? If you guys can explain it to a constituent, more power to you. I cannot. So I reached out to David right away, and he did a very good job explaining it to me. I still don't get it, by the way, so we'll have to talk about it. But so I guess what I would ask, and if other members have the same question, or supervisors, is, you know, he handed this out at the admin meeting, and it's a great breakdown of the bid and then what it came in at. So I don't know if you could talk kind of more about, because the big difference is the facade. I mean, that's what it boils down to, and I get it. We want a building that looks great. We want a building that looks great for the community. But for me personally, when I had two constituents call me asking why their bill's going up, and now I got to vote for this where it's more of a cosmetic versus an actual need, I have a hard time looking them in the face saying I did the right thing. And I'm not saying I'm not going to vote it back at this point, but I just want to make sure we all understand exactly what we're voting for here. You know, we're not going in and gutting this building. This is really more the facade that's driving this cost. So I don't know
Well,
if you can
I'm
talk
sure
about it.
that we can get some more explanation, but there's also the furnace replacement and some other things. It's not just the facade. I didn't want to mislead any supervisors. The parking lot has to be done, and it's costing more because they have to do the subsurface as well. And
I'm going to let
take them through that, right?
Matt take care of it. He has all the numbers.
Okay, you know, I'll go through, and the handout that we went over through Administrative Services, I provided that for the committee review. So the project contains really 6 main components, the largest of the facade improvements that Mr. Stuckman referred to. So it's really taking the facade. Some is a maintenance, tuck point maintenance stuff that would need to be done, but really the majority is taking that whole building and doing a rewrap on that on Oneida Street. The original estimate for that facade was $348,000. That came in on a base bid at $527,000. So that was really where we jumped. As an alternate, we had a storm rework. We have storm issues there and the sump issues, so we want to take care of those drainage issues on that site. The estimate was $23,000. That came in at $8,200, give or take. The next component of the project was card readers. So like we have the readers on the doors out here. So new storefronts, new doors on the the main entrances, which would be facing Oneida Street, which would be the west side of the building, and then the north side of the building. So new storefronts, doors and windows, and card readers. In addition to that, there's doors in the lobby that are card read as well. So if we can set those on a timer, or we swipe in for better enhanced security there. That was estimated at $53,000. That came in at $25,000 as an alternate. Next is furnace replacement. That building has 5 furnaces that are all reaching end of life. We looked at them all. Maintenance, Adam went through them with his team. There's 5 furnaces in that building. The estimate for the replacement of those was $34,000. The bid came in at $79,000, so that was quite a bit of a jump on that one. The last thing within the bid was basement lighting. Right now, they demoed. There used to be a beauty salon, so they demoed out some walls. They demoed out all that equipment. There's no lighting down there right now. It's kind of a rope lighting, temporary solution. So the estimate for that was $7,500. The bids came in at $12,000 for that. The last part of it is a parking lot replacement, and that's $125,000. So that's included in these numbers. So when we take all those numbers together on the building, the estimates, and what the bids came in at, the total estimate for all that was $590,000, and the bids came in at $776,000. So that's a discrepancy of about, I'm not David, this is going to take me a little bit. Let's say $186,000 or $187,000. That was really the discrepancy of what we had planned for versus what it came in at.
Do you want to talk about, I mean, to Ty's recent concern post the Administrative Services Committee regarding property tax in the county, how this is proposed to be funded?
Yeah, the funding breakdown, the board originally approved ARPA funding for the purchase of that facility and some improvements. So after the purchase, there was $270,000 left in ARPA for this project. In addition, there's $106,000 that was underspent on different projects. David crunched the numbers, so we could add $106,000 to the $270,000 for a total of about $376,000 in ARPA. That's all the ARPA funds that we have remaining for the county. Those need to be out and obligated and taken care of by the end of this year. So we're really running on a timeline there. But those don't affect, those wouldn't be levy dollars. The ARPA dollars, that's federal funding that we had. The second component to fund this project would be using about $400,000 of sales tax, unassigned sales tax. Those are just, sales taxes for purchases from whether it's residents or people visiting the county. That comes from sales tax. So that's not levy impact, but I can see how constituents would say, hey, my taxes are going up, even though it's not tied.
I think it's important to note that how we proposed, understanding the costs were higher than we anticipated, than we were provided. That's a fact. How we're proposing to fund the amount that's over the budget is because we have the sales tax opportunity, which is for capital projects, and it's an ARPA-related project, so another thing not on the property tax. So I think it's important to let them know that although you are spending this money, it is the most conservative approach to inflationary impact to keep things moving and does not affect operations, which we're forced to put on the levy. We can't use sales tax dollars for those, as an example. So we talked about several different options, and this is why we chose this one, because this one is money that's available to you and is not available to go back to a taxpayer or to reduce their property taxes necessarily, if that helps.
Any other questions?
Do you
Supervisor
have
Holschuh?
Do you have the slides that you provided the admin with? The ones with the facade and da-da-da-da?
If you find it, I can.
I have it. I found it electronically. I still don't have it
This is where it might get tricky. Good thing we have IT in the room. Is any? There we go. All right. So.
There it is.
Is this what you wanted to see? The
Well, I just want to be sure that you understand your action relates to the funding only, does not relate to the exterior of the building. So if the question relates to what's available for the funding, the chart's there. This is what it would look like, which includes the parking lot and that exterior.
I'm sorry, I thought you were referring to this.
Oh, I thought you wanted to know about the funding.
No, she wanted to know about the facade.
Oh.
But that's the whole building.
You know, you have your existing,
If you show her what the breakdown of the funding is, she can understand what's, after you show the picture.
you know, so here on the left side, this is the existing facility that'd be on your right-hand side. This would be the new storefront and awning, and there would be a new roof placed over this. So this would be the main entrance that's facing Oneida Street. This roof line is all replaced. Here you can see this again here, Oneida Street would be kind of to the right. Here's the main entrance. This entrance would be completely redone, and that would be facing north. The existing view there
This part is no.
well, that gives you an idea of the exterior improvements to the facades.
So are there any other questions? Emily?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This isn't so much of a question as a comment. If you live in Appleton, especially over there, and you pass it repeatedly, and you've been inside of it as someone who's needed those services, it looks like we don't care about our constituents the way it looks currently. I think this is a fantastic remodel. I'm glad that we're using funds conservatively the way that you suggest it, and I wholeheartedly approve of this resolution. Thank you.
Any other questions? Are you ready for the vote? All right, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? We have 2 opposed. The resolution has been adopted. All right, moving on to the next 3 resolutions.
Madam Chair, could we take all these resolutions as one, please?
Yes, they all speak about the same thing but different vendors. So it would be Resolution 2024-28, 29, and 30. And Supervisor D, all right, go ahead, Mayor.
Resolutions to endorse bids from BERTRAM Communications, Frontier North Incorporated, and Spectrum Mid-America for BEAD grant funding, and introduced by the Administrative Services Committee.
Have a motion, please. I have a motion by Supervisor Elliott, a second by Supervisor Steer, and Supervisor Diedrich, would you now speak to those resolutions?
Thank you, Madam Chair. We heard about this some months ago when we said that the state had money available to companies to do high-speed internet to the service to those people who did not have it. And part of that process for getting grants is they have to come up with a proposal, and they have to get their proposal scored. They get extra points if the county supports their project, also if the municipalities support the project, et cetera. So by our approving these resolutions tonight, these three companies will all have that box ticked from the Calumet County Board, and they will get some points toward their efforts to get grant money from the state to put in high-speed internet. That's all this is. It does not involve county money. We're just saying, yes, gentlemen, ladies, go for it. We want high speed.
All right. Are there any questions? All right. Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, that resolution has been adopted. Now we're moving into the ordinances. We have ordinance 2024-9.
Ordinance to amend Chapter 82 zoning code on certain property in the town of Woodville, property of Shirley Johnson, introduced by the Planning, Zoning, and Land Information Committee.
All right, do I have a motion? I have a motion by Supervisor Steer, a second by Supervisor Latour. All right, and Supervisor Hofsberger, would you speak to this ordinance, please?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Planning and Zoning has two ordinances amendments for you tonight, splitting former residents from farmland. I have to admit, this next information came from Willie Geiser. He is the chairperson of the town of Charlestown, and he was at the meeting to just, I'm not sure why he was there, and I just asked Willie, what do you think? What's up, Willie? And he said, well, you know, it's a sign of the times. He said, Wisconsin, the whole country is having less farms, and they're getting bigger. The small farms are leaving or selling their residences, and the bigger farms are buying or renting the land. It's just the way it is. We have two more of those tonight. You have seen a lot from planning and zoning in the past. I think it's a good thing, because we're utilizing those residences for the economic stability and growth of our county. And, of course, we're preserving more farmland than ever. The first one, ordinance amendment, Shirley Johnson. Shirley Johnson and Agent Bruce Johnson are requesting to rezone approximately 3.3 acres from the exclusive ag district to the agricultural residential district, and approximately 19 acres from exclusive ag district to the exclusive ag preservation district in the town of Woodville. The rezoning will split the existing residential and accessory buildings from the ag land on the property. The rezone is being processed as a farm consolidation, which will exceed the rezone ratio to follow natural and other geological features of existing ag structures and amenities on the property. The town of Woodville has no objection. In this particular case, the owner has moved to a nursing home, so they want to split the farm residents off of the farmland. We don't ask, we're not required or probably even allowed to ask why they want this. If it's the ordinance, we get to do it.
Are there any questions regarding this ordinance? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that ordinance has been adopted. Moving on to ordinance 2024-10.
Ordinance to amend Chapter 82 zoning code on certain property in the town of Charlestown, property of John KOLBE, introduced by the Planning, Zoning, and Farmland Preservation Committee.
I need a motion.
So moved.
A motion by Supervisor Miller and a second by Supervisor Tunis. And Supervisor Hofsberger, would you speak to this ordinance?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. John KOLBE and Agent Brad Beekle are requesting to rezone approximately 1.5 acres from the exclusive ag district to the agricultural residential district, and approximately 30 acres from the exclusive ag district to the exclusive agricultural preservation district in the town of Charlestown. The rezoning will split the existing residential and accessory buildings from the ag land on the property and is compliant with the residential density of 20:1 in the inclusive ag district. The town of Charlestown has no objection to the proposed rezone. John hasn't lived on this for a number of years, so I'm assuming that they'll sell the home site.
Okay. Are there any questions regarding this ordinance? Seeing none, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that ordinance has been adopted. Moving on to supervisor reports. Anyone have anything to report? Any meetings you've attended? Supervisor Schwallenberg.
Yes, as far as parks is concerned, construction or demolition has started at Ledgeview. I mentioned at admin services that they initially had some issues with people coming and looking at what was going on, and the company that's doing the construction is the one that carries the liability insurance. So they will put up a snow fence. If not, if things continue, a hard fence would go up, and then that would be our responsibility to the cost of about $20,000. And we probably would then maybe just close the park. Right now, the park is still open to hikers. The trails are still open, so let's hope that that doesn't occur. There really isn't much to look at right now anyway. As far as health is concerned, I am on the board for the Wisconsin Association of Local Health Departments and Boards, and they are concerned about what possibly may happen to federal funding, because nobody has said too much about public health with the new administration coming in. So we will have to wait and see. Thank you very much.
And was there anyone else? Supervisor Booty?
Thank you. On November 15th, I had attended the Wisconsin County Association Transportation and Public Works Steering Committee meeting. There we received a presentation from Debbie Jackson, Chair of the Wisconsin Transportation Development Association, an update from Rebecca Roker of Atolis Law about wake boats, and Kyle Christensen gave us an update about legislative efforts and introduced Colin Driscoll, the new transportation lobbyist for the Wisconsin Counties Association. Then on December 12th, I was at the Fox Cities Metropolitan Planning Organization meeting. At that meeting, we approved 2 different carbon reduction projects, one in Outagamie County and one in Winnebago County. If anyone has any questions about what that entails, let me know. And it's kind of interesting what you can do in a carbon reduction program. Thanks.
Anyone else? I just want to remind those that are going to the ambassador program on January 23rd and the legislative meeting on February 24th and 25th. You have a packet at your desk. The rooms have been registered. You are registered. I just want to remind you that if you register online by yourself for anything that WCA is having, please let me know that you registered, because that happened this last time and we didn't get people into where we wanted to get them. So just a reminder. I also want to remind you that after this meeting tonight, please join us all for Christmas social, and that includes the staff, guests, and I wish everyone a very happy Merry Christmas and a happy, healthy New Year. So moving on, we have the county administrator's report and appointments. Was there any question on the report? Okay. We have recommend the reappointment of Ray Miller, whose term will expire January 1, 2025, and the new term will be 1/1/2028 to the Manitowoc Calumet County Library System Board.
Make that motion.
All right, I have a motion by Supervisor Diedrich and a second by Supervisor Huffsberger to confirm those reappointments. Any questions? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Our next regular meeting will be January 25th. We're in the new year at 6:00 p.m.
January 21st,
So we have
did you say?
accomplished everything on the agenda, so I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you for your attendance. Drive safely home.
When do you think it is?
I don't know. I got a new phone. I wish you'd steal this one. I hate this phone.
What kind you got?
It's an iPhone. Oh, there it is. Yeah.
16? Get a 16?
I don't know. No, I think it's a 14.
Oh, I got a 16.
Good. Maybe I'll have to steal yours again then.
Yeah, that's
Did she
why
say the 27th? David, did she say the 27th for our next 21st? That's a Saturday, December 20, no, January.
Are you going to leave this open?
Awesome.